All right, let's jump into our favorite total of the week. All right, I'll start this one off both of our totals last week. Talk about some unders that were never in doubt. I don't think either of our totals had like a point for the entire first quarter, maybe into the second, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it was just like you kind of knew those were going to hit with Cincinnati and the Jets game like that. So hopefully we can keep it going this week. I'm going Carolina, Pittsburgh under 37.5. I mean, what are we really talking about here? Sam Darnold versus either Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph, who apparently split first team reps this week, which, he's been the third string quarterback. Pickett's in the concussion protocol, but if he didn't have a real chance to start, I doubt he would be splitting first team reps with Trubisky. So good chance we could get Mason Rudolph here. This day and age with this new NFL concussion protocol, you usually don't see guys clear it in a week. So betting we get one of the backups for Pittsburgh. And okay, this Panther team, this week not gonna go with a Panthers bet. Don't see a ton of value either way. If you're betting against
Panthers whisper.
Yeah, I mean, if you're betting against them, then you do have the Tomlin spot, but they are at home. They've been kind of rolling, and again, Pittsburgh might start a third stringer. But if you bet on them, then you're going against the Tomlin, spot. So I'd rather go with the under here, and that's because we saw last week what did Carolina have success with? Running the football. They again ran it over 40 times for over 200 yards, and when they tried to throw the ball, which I don't know why of all things you would ever try to throw the ball 4 straight times at the goal line with Sam Darnold, but I digress. We know that that's not the strength of the team. Well, Pittsburgh, number 11 in run defense, DVOA. They've been good against the run all year, except last week. They did have some hiccups, but that is a Raven team that, they got Ronnie Stanley back. They had their backs healthy. I think they kind of caught Pittsburgh off guard a little bit there. And, it is what it is. But I do expect Pittsburgh to be able to stop the run here. Pittsburgh's issue has been explosive pass plays. They give up an NFL high 11.7 yards per completion, and they give up the 6th highest rate of 20+ yard passing plays at 15.5%. But you don't really have to worry about that as much with a team like the Carolina Panthers, because Carolina, in Sam Darnold's 2 starts, has called a design run, and this is excluding kneel downs. So not even using kneel downs here. They've called a designed run on 64% of their plays. They've had 136 plays that weren't kneel downs, and they've called a run 64% of the time. And you could get even more runs, if you get like a quarterback scramble or something. I'm not even counting that with Sam Darnold. So you saw that against kind of with the Ravens in Pittsburgh. Baltimore runs for over 200 yards. They're very efficient on the ground, but Baltimore only had 23 called passes. I think only 15 pass attempts in that game. And so it still ends, 16-14? Because, if you play a team like the Bengals and Burrow, they're going to throw the ball on you. That's when Pittsburgh's defense starts giving up a big number. But, I trust Pittsburgh's defense in this spot against Carolina. And you look at Pittsburgh's D coming on strong lately, held each of their last 3 opponents to 16 to 17 points. Indy, Atlanta, Baltimore, not exactly a murderer's row of offenses, but again, neither is Carolina. And you go back even further. Pittsburgh has held 6 of its last 8 opponents to 18 points or less. The 2 exceptions, Philly put up 35 and Cincinnati put up 37. Those are 2 of the best offenses in the league. So against a team like this, Pittsburgh should reliably allow under 20 points. And then on the other side, Pittsburgh's only averaging 15.3 points per game on the road in 7 road games. They've been held under 20 points in 5 of their 7 road games, and they're averaging about 4.5 points less per game on the road than they are at home. And Carolina, just 15.5 points per game allowed over their past 4. And at home under Wilks, they've only played 3 games at home under Steve Wilks since he took over. 3 points allowed, 15 points allowed, 10 points allowed. So they haven't even allowed more than 15 at home. The average is 9.3 under Wilks. And Pittsburgh is running more these days too. They've called a design run over 45% of the time in their last 3 games, after doing so about 36% of the time in their first 10. So I think both of these teams run a lot. I think both of these teams have a lot of trouble scoring. I think both of these teams play conservatively. I think you can always count on Tomlin to kick a field goal in a spot where maybe you should go for it. And the Panthers kind of the same way. Tomlin rode under 73, 53-1 all time, 58%. Give me under 37.5 in Carolina, Pittsburgh.
By the way, don't hate it at all. So I get more confused by the concussion protocol with each passing week. So I kind of started to get a grasp, like, for the most part, all the data I have says, like, if you get the concussion the week before, you're like, after the Tua stuff, you're pretty much like 90% of people are out, right? So like that's become my assumption. But then it's like this week, Russell Wilson, there's like word that might play. He was knocked unconscious. But early in the week, they're like, we only care about health. And then he's at practice today, and people are like, he's trending up. And then Tyler Huntley, who gets like bent backwards, gets a concussion. It looks like he's trending to play. So like, what's going on?
Well, I think it still depends on whether you actually had a concussion or not. I think Huntley didn't actually get a concussion. I believe he said that on I want to say maybe it was Marlon Humphrey's IG Live or something. I forget where he said it, but I'm pretty sure I saw Huntley say, maybe it was just an interview, but that he didn't actually get a concussion. I think Pickett got one. I'm pretty sure Russ got one. So I think Russ is kind of, you're still allowed to, like, I think you're allowed to practice with a non-contact jersey on or something like that. So sometimes you see these quarterbacks participate in practice, but they still have to get cleared. So I think the thinking with Huntley is just that I don't think he had a concussion, so he'll probably get cleared. Wilson, I would guess it's more gamesmanship. I doubt that he actually gets cleared. I mean, he could.
Yeah, if he plays, it's going to confuse me more about this, because he's a quarterback who got knocked unconscious, who had a concussion the week before.
And to be honest, I think, Hackett kind of alluded earlier in the week to, like, you were going to kind of prioritize his safety. So, I mean, I would highly doubt that he actually plays, but every team is different with, how direct they are with injuries. Like some, will kind of give you, okay, they'll rule a guy out on like Tuesday, even if you don't have to till like Friday or Saturday. And some teams will kind of do what the Bengals do, or the Patriots do, put everyone on the, so it's all different. But yeah, I do expect Huntley to clear, but Wilson, I doubt it. And Pickett, I doubt it.
For my favorite total, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans under 49.5. I just think that this total has gone up too much. It's risen a bit, and I'm not sure why. And historically, if you look at these big favorites in totals that are above 45, the under has been a good bet historically over the past 30 years. Reason for that is either the underman team, steps up, and usually that's on defense, and they try to keep this close, or the favorite, which in this case, the Chiefs, go up by a lot and they sit on it. What just like we saw, what was Miami up 35-0 at the half, and that game still stayed under, I believe, somehow.
No, yeah, it was like 28 or 27-0, and then
27-0.
30-15, it was under 45.5 by a half.
Yeah. And now you have a Texans team that won't have Dameon Pierce at running back.
Nope.
They won't have Nico Collins, or they won't have Brandon Cooks. They might not have Nico Collins. It's going to be, Davis Mills throwing to Chris Moore, or Jeff Driscoll in there, who played well last week, but you kind of saw the Chiefs now got to see like what the Texans are doing with them. I think that some of the Driscoll packages caught the Cowboys off guard. Talk about the Vanilla Vic. He looked like the Vanilla Vic last week. So I mean, like, what is the Texans offense going to do? I'm not really sure. The Chiefs, I love Chiefs as a big favorite going under. A lot of times that happens at home. In these types of games, they just don't want to show a lot. And I think their defense, it's not going to take much to show up here, but they kind of got embarrassed last week by Russell Wilson. And I think Chiefs will build a big lead here, sit on it, and get the hell out of Dodge. And I think this total has gone up a bit too much. Like, it would say if Chiefs going to score 40, if they do, it's going to go over. But I think that they'll probably get like 31-34 to, let's call it like 31-14, maybe 31-17, even still stays under. So yeah, now that this is at 49.5, I'm going to go under.
Yeah, and remember, coming out of last week, no one really knew what the Texans were going to do with that Jeff Driscoll, Davis Mills platoon. Now you got some tape on it, and you also lose your best offensive player in Damian Pierce. So I think, Chris Moore probably not getting another 10 catches for $124 this time around. And Houston's pass defense has been respectable. I think they are, 17th in DVOA, and they don't really allow a ton. I mean, obviously on the ground they do, but if you're betting the Chiefs under, you rather the Chiefs get it that way.
Yeah, they don't allow it. They just sit. They're going to sit in just their cover two, drop safeties, and then just make the Chiefs work it down the field, which is just going to eat clock.
Yep. All right. So to recap, Stuck is going Chiefs, Texans under 49.5. I'm going Panthers, Steelers under 37.